A very good morning. Thanks for clicking on to the Tuesday edition of Vogan's US Outlook. It happens to be the February 2017 Outlook day, and certainly we have seen a pretty up and down winter overall. We've seen a record breaking cold spell during the early part of December, then a pullback and a significant January thaw that we've got at the moment over the eastern half of the country. And it does look, folks, as we go into the month of February, that we are going to see the return of a much colder pattern across the lower 48. If you do check out the written February outlook, you will see the charts that I've thrown up with regards to the stratospheric warming that we are going to see. And it looks as if we could potentially see the a full-scale sudden stratospheric warming event take place. Now, there is still a bit of uncertainty as to exactly how much warming we get within the transfer of warm air down into the troposphere from the stratosphere, and this could potentially signify a major Arctic outbreak during the month of February across the lower 48. Now, the models are kind of waxing and waning somewhat, both in the 10 and 50 millibar temperature profile over the Arctic, but also we're seeing it at 500 millibars as well. So there is a level of uncertainty, but I do think we are going to lean on the cool side of things as we push through the month of February. But the question is, how severe is that cold? Certainly, if we do get a sudden stratospheric warming, there is the potential, at least, for some very significant cold coming in to the lower 48. Now, we have seen temperatures down to minus 60 in Alaska, in the Yukon, while we've seen a significant pullback across the lower 48. Of course, we've seen also the bombardment of systems coming into the west. We're slowly erasing that drought in California. The question is, do we maintain this stormy pattern in the California and the west, or does it retreat? And certainly the CFSV2 weeklies show the potential of a weakening of that storm track as we go into February. But this is the CFSV2 500 millibar height anomalies here, and you can see here the blocking over the top. We've got somewhat of a trough underneath that. But as we go through the sequence here, you notice here we're starting to see a kind of reversal in the upper pattern across the high latitude region. We're starting to see a building of high pressure over the North Pacific extending into Alaska, so we're warming things up here. But while we do so, we start to gather the cold, and with, of course, the orientation of this high building in towards Alaska, that would signify colder air gathering over Western Canada, possible some cross-polar flow, and then we drive Arctic air back into the lower 48 pattern. Now, the CFSV2 in some respects doesn't kind of add up fully, but we do have a bit of back and forth here, especially in the kind of middle part of February here. The Mullen is having a tough time seeing what's going on, and I think until we get the actual um, profile of the stratosphere temperature-wise, both at 50 and 10 millibars, that will give us a better handle on where the pattern is going as we go into the month of February overall. But you can see here, as we go out to day 36, 342, way out in fantasy land, I know that, but it does indicate blocking Greenland, Alaska, hooking up over the top, plenty of positive over the Arctic region would signify a negative North Atlantic oscillation, negative Arctic oscillation, and I think we could potentially see a lot of cold air into the lower 48 by the time we get into the middle, possibly the latter half of February. Let's have a look at the 2 meter temperature anomalies for the upcoming week. And you can see here that we have got a world of warmth across much of Canada, Alaska, especially up across the Yukon and Northwest Territories here. We've got really significant warm air here, given the time of the year. Cooler across the western half of the country, mild across the eastern half of the country here, a little cooler across Florida. The following 8 to 14 days here doesn't really see an awful lot of change. Even into the 15 through 21, we're starting to build the cold, if you notice here, across parts of eastern Alaska. The western side of Canada really starting to chill out, and I think the reason why is potentially We're starting to see the result of that strat warming. We're seeing the building of high pressure across the top, and therefore we're going to really refrigerate Western Canada. The question is, does it come south? And it looks as if, excuse me, it does look as if the modelling, at least the CFSV2, is holding back on the cold coming into the lower 48 here. But like I say, these models, very, very difficult to pinpoint. Even at this day and age, these models are very hard to go by. But I think given the strat warming, given the potential, given the trend in the models, I do think we're going to reverse this mild pattern that we've got at the moment in the eastern half of the country. We're going to see some form of major Arctic outbreak during the month of February overall. Finally, let's go to the precipitation here and see what we're talking about, certainly for California's sake anyway. And I do think we are going to see, hopefully, the continuation of um, a wet pattern across California. Certainly, we've seen upwards of a half a year's worth of rain in the first half of January alone here. But do we see this continuing? Do we see the moisture coming into California that we really so want to see? Now, it looks as if we've got average precipitation end of January into early February. Then we've got wetter conditions here across the Pacific Northwest. But notice here, the model is indicating drier than normal conditions in the Southern California and the Southwest, and it continues to be the case if you notice here. So it certainly, if the CFSV2 is anything to go by, it looks as if we're going to have a drier end to winter, beginning of spring here. But we shall wait and see what's going to take place. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and do check out the written February outlook. Thanks for watching on YouTube as well. Bye for now.